How did Princess Bonnibel Bubblegum, known for her genuine compassion for her candy people, become the face of fascism in a kingdom where the sweetest dreams are often of escape? How far will a ruler go to protect her people? And do malicious means ever justify the preservation of peace? Hold on to those dome pieces because we are diving deep into the dark candy core of this despot's dominion. PB has reigned for nearly a millennium. We know this because in Season 10, Episode 4, entitled Bonnibel Bubblegum, we're introduced to her earliest creations, Aunt Lolly, Cousin Chicle, and Uncle Gumbald. But they weren't her subjects, they were supposed to be her advisors, her family. Her longing for the community she once had in the Mother Gum give it form. But that plan went to splat when Gumbald started having ideas of his own, expressing his desire for capitalism in a city he would build for personal gain. When PB discovered this, she was distraught, and after defeating her uncle and transforming him into the Punch Guy, she got her first 2 lessons in the art of war: deception and neutralization. Let's talk about deception for a while, because PB has been known to be one of the most deceptive and devious people in the land of Ooh. And she's like this for a reason, because earlier in that same episode, young Bonnie tries to help a distressed goblin, only to get betrayed. A seemingly helpless creature weaponized her own morality. And that moment stuck with her, because when we see PB at the start of Adventure Time, we see how sweet she is with all her scientific experiments and innocent princess day-to-day life, hiding her near 1,000-year experience well enough in fact, to employ a magical stretching dog and his heroic human brother. But you already know she's not helpless, because we see her deceive people to an even more extreme extent in another episode with Flame Princess. In Season 6, Episode 22, The Cooler, the Fire Kingdom face a deadly cold season. With their fires dying, Flame Princess turns to PB for help, a bold move considering their rocky history. But why is this a big deal? Because in this part of the story, PB already tried to manipulate FP into experiments using her emotions after she just broke up with Finn.
Why am I here again?
Oh, I just wanted to measure Flame Princess's reaction when confronted by the guy who broke her heart.
FP then found out that Bonnie was actually the one who suggested her imprisonment in that big ol' lamp above the Fire Kingdom's throne room, where she spent 14 years of her life locked up and never knowing why. And PB kept this information secret, never apologized, just moved on like it was nothing. So FP reached out during her kingdom's crisis, and the goddamn Candy Kingdom's sweetheart instead decided to sack some batteries from the secret fire giants that Flame Princess decided to show her out of sheer desperation. PB even goes a tier further and tricks her into destroying most of the fire giants, revealing that she was the one causing the cold season, all to eliminate the risk of war with the Fire Kingdom. A rather low move, yet a masterclass in neutralization. But aside from lowballing the competition, PB has achieved peace through different plays. Diplomacy exists in this world. PB has formed peaceful relationships with other kingdoms via diplomatic missions, and in Princess Day, she even attends a summit with other princesses, hinting that trade is what keeps the peace between those kingdoms.
Trade deficits are at an all-time high.
But how do you stop a wizard invasion, or prevent the Flame King from scorching the globe? Now this is where we take a page from Starchy's book and get a little conspiratorial. In the case of Peace with the Wizard City, PB has actually been always a good friend of the wizard community, as said by the Wizard King himself in Season 5, Episode 26.
Just say, wizards rule, and you're all free to go.
No!
In an earlier episode involving a wizard battle, she even offers her kiss as a prize. But how did she manage peace with the Fire Kingdom when all we've ever heard about them was their willingness to wage war with the Candy people? Well, here's the theory. Remember that one episode where 2 Flame citizens tried to snuff out the Flame King with ice? Well, they revealed that the Flame King wasn't actually the one next in line to inherit the throne, but rather, it was his brother.
Hello, Uncle.
You snuffed out our father to become king!
The side of the family which probably wanted to wage war over the Candy people. The theory is that PB actually knew about this and decided to help the Flame King kill his brother. But how did she acquire this information? Well, in the Science Barbecue episode, we have our first introduction to Flambeau, a citizen in the Fire Kingdom who just happens to be helping PB set up the grill, or maybe a skilled informant in PB's game of espionage and surveillance. Now, through Flambeau, PB probably uncovered a possible threat of war, which is probably why she wanted to help the Flame King kill his brother so he could reign over the Fire Kingdom. But why didn't the Flame King just betray her? Well, we see how the dude isn't actually as evil as he lets out to be. He seemingly just wanted to govern his own kingdom. We see this in the Bun Bun episode where he's freed but ultimately decides to rule over
Adorable vermin.
Okay.
You're all right, Bun Bun.
What do you think? I haven't actually read any theories regarding this, so tell me about your thoughts in the comments. Now we have an idea of how PB maintains the peace with other kingdoms, but inside her own borders, she gets even more calculated. Now, it's a consensus that the Candy People were adorably stupid.
The Candy People are real dumb.
Though, aside from the overparenting and pampering, this trait wasn't a mistake. It was by design. Now, saying PB cultivated a kingdom of sheeples just so no one could challenge her rule sounds absurd. But what if that's exactly what she did? PB learned that intelligent creations like Gumbald lead to rebellion and chaos, leaving her forever scarred and teaching her that docile subjects are easier to control and manipulate.
You, the crunchy ball, dance for me!
Sure.
When her robot army backfired, she scrapped all of them on a full-on bot genocide and replaced them with banana guards. Even her last Hail Mary attempt at creating an intellectual heir came at the cost of her having two super beings battle each other to the end of time. In the episode Goliad, PB creates what she thinks is going to take over her reign once she dies, a being with her own DNA that could live forever. Now, the thought process behind this was probably that maybe if I could raise it, I could teach it to become something more. But sadly, the apple never falls far from the tree, and Goliad's mind embodied the purest form of Bubblegum's desire of control over her own people, which ultimately led to her creating Stormo, born of Finn's selfless DNA, to keep it distracted for all eternity.
No, brother! Don't you see? They're turning us against...
But here's the thing though, the Candy People aren't exactly as dumb as you think. They find out how PB takes advantage of them, how she spies over their every move, how her actions, even with the best of intentions, eventually lead to their suffering and pain. They even form a makeshift rebellion to expose the princess's malicious misdeeds. This becomes even more apparent when Tree Trunks literally paints the word fascist on a banner, calling out PB's misguided actions, which we'll know about in a bit. Funny enough, we actually hear PB speak German numerous times in the series, which is kind of a cool Easter egg.
Ich bin hier, Finn.
Given the context. But in other more pitiful cases, people hide their true nature in fear of royal punishment. In the episode entitled The Thin Yellow Line, Finn and Jake are ordered to find out which banana guard has been painting a bunch of treasonous-looking murals in the Candy Kingdom. They then find the culprit behind it and ask why he's so scared to come clean and share his talents. It's then revealed that the banana guards lived in fear of PB's ruthless punishments, hearing tales of her crimes against the candy. Because, let's face it, PB's done a lot of whack stuff. Torturing the Ice King, imprisoning an entire wedding gathering, doing a candy version of aliens, whatever the fuck this shit was, what the... But still managing to look like the sweetest thing Finn has ever seen. Deception and neutralization. But eventually, everything comes to a stop, even if it's just for a while. Because in the midst of worrying about her people, the endless threats that plague her kingdom, in her obsession of protection, progress, and control, the Candy People were swayed by false promises and lies, and Bubblegum's reign came to a standstill, leading to this gut-wrenching breakdown.
What? You do weeds!
Leading to this gut-wrenching breakdown.
I tried. I really tried. I thought that if I shut everything out and just focused on work, it would all be okay. And look where that landed me.
Now, it's worth noting that this is a work of fiction because no actual person would vote for an obvious crook and criminal and put them in a seat of power in real life. But that's what happened, and later on, both the Candy People and Princess Bubblegum herself realized what they did wrong and decided to work from there. So why do all of this? Why commit atrocities and cast yourself as the villain in someone else's story? Because Princess Bubblegum is a leader. Flawed, calculating, protective, but always a leader. She puts the welfare of her own people above all else, even if it means sacrificing other kingdoms, other lives. She plays God, and sometimes those games backfire. Sometimes they endanger the very people she's trying to protect. But it never stops her, because in her mind, she's doing what's necessary, what she thinks is right. And ironically, that ruthless logic has kept you, or at least her kingdom, at peace for the most part. It allowed her to make scientific breakthroughs, push progress, and build a kingdom where candy citizens live free from war, famine, or chaos, even if that safety ends in status, frozen in the prize bowl guardian. But over time, PB learns that total control isn't peace, it's oppression. That loyalty can't be manufactured, and that sometimes you just have to let go and learn to trust again. Because in the end, ruthlessness might protect the kingdom, but only compassion can make it worth saving. Hey guys, thanks for sticking to the end. I hope you enjoyed this video. Tell me about your thoughts. I'd love to read them in the comments. And yeah, thanks again for all your support. See you in some other time. Peace!